Excuse me, Mr. Graham?
So I just want to say, I feel good about the Republican Party. I feel good about where we're going as a nation. We're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes.
You heard that. You heard that, right? He did not stutter. That was so clear and so direct. If you do not have the misfortune of knowing who that man is, it's Senator Lindsey Graham from my state of South Carolina, who has been in office since dinosaurs roamed the earth, I'm pretty sure. And as horrifying as it is that he said those words, what's even possibly more horrifying is that it was met with laughter. The audience was laughing. They thought it was great. And as if all of this is not horrifying enough, he keeps going. There's more. Just hang on.
Trump is my favorite president. We've run out of bombs. We didn't run out of bombs in World War II.
Very interesting criteria you have for your favorite president there, Mr. Graham. Us running out of bombs apparently means he's doing a great job. What are you talking about? And how is it in South Carolina, not only do we have to contend with Nancy Mace, we also have to contend with Lindsey Graham, who, again, has been in office for so long. South Carolina, when are we going to get it together and get folks like this out of office? This is horrifying. It should horrify everyone, every single voter, regardless of political affiliation. That should bother you.
He recognized Jerusalem as capital of Israel. Why? Because if you got a problem with that, take it up with God. He's the guy that did it, not Trump. So I just want to say, I feel good about the Republican Party. I feel good about where we're going as a nation. We're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes. Trump is my favorite president. We've run out of bombs. We didn't run out of bombs in World War II.
Senator Lindsey Graham recently said to an audience at the Republican Jewish Coalition that we're killing all the right people and we're cutting your taxes. A sitting senator of the United States of America said that to an audience at the Republican Jewish Coalition. Who do you think is in attendance at a venue, an event like that? I'll tell you who's in attendance. An audience that breaks out into laughter after he says that. That tells you everything you need to know about the people in attendance at that event. And Lindsey Graham couldn't contain his lobster-headedness. Looked like he had been on a hard bender the night before, and he broke out into laughter with them. Because they all understood collectively who the right people were. The same people that you and I for the last 2 years have witnessed in live time be mass displaced, lose their homes, lose their schools, lose their hospitals, lose their neighborhoods, lose their neighbors, lose their children, lose their teachers, lose their family lineage, lose everyone that has ever fucking existed in their family ever. You and me have watched that take place over the last 2 years. Those are the right people, according to a sitting senator of this country. Where is the censoring of Lindsey Graham? You won't see it. But you know what you will see? The feckless Democrats censor their own colleague for interrupting Donald Trump and trying to bring articles of impeachment months ago. They'll censor Representative Al Green, not Lindsey Graham. Everybody knows who the right people are. Nobody in the Republican Party gives a fuck that Lindsey Graham nonchalantly talks about killing the right people, because they think that way too. Shameful. And the most amazing thing to me is all these people, especially on the right, who are so outraged about Zohran Mamdani winning the mayoral race of New York. A Democratic socialist. He's going to destroy New York. Meanwhile, Lindsey Slug Graham jokes and laughs with people in attendance at an event about killing the right people. That includes children. Tens of thousands of children. Babies who you and I, as just American citizens, had the disprivilege of witnessing them take their last breath or their last movement in an incubator. Do you remember that? You've seen, I've seen babies in utero never witness the flash of light when they take their first breath. Why? Oh, because they're the right people, according to that slug of a human being. And you think he's going to get censored? Do you think anything at all is going to happen to him? No. And he's pleased with the way the Republican Party is progressing. He even said Donald Trump's his favorite president. The man in the past who had nothing nice to say about Donald Trump is now the skin tag on his left thigh. Because that's what Lindsey Graham is. He's a skin tag. He's a slug. To say that about human beings, are these going to be the right people, Lindsey? Are these people going to be put into the right people group? Because make no mistake about it, if you think he cares about the people of this country when he says despicable things about the right people in another part of the world who for the last 2 years have been mass displaced, forced into famine, unknowingly consuming flour laced with oxycodone, coming through U.S. fucking ports. If you think he cares about the people of this country when he references human beings, children, babies, the way he did, and then laughs about it, these people don't care about anybody but themselves. They are not capable of caring. They are not neurologically wired to be empathetic or sympathetic. Someone who was aligned with them, who left this world 2 months ago, thought empathy was a weakness. And you don't think people like Lindsey Graham think that? He doesn't have to say it's a weakness. He says it by saying that the right people are being killed. And by the way, you're getting your taxes cut.
Uh-oh, this government shutdown may be lasting for a hell of a lot longer than any of us could have imagined. If other Republicans believe the same thing that Lindsey Graham is saying they do, which there is very good reason to believe that they do, there will be no extended premium subsidies, healthcare subsidies. So even for a year, they are not even going to possibly give this a go. So we're going to probably be in this shutdown for a lot longer. Quote, and to my Democrat friends, we're not going to extend this program for a year because that would be unfair to the taxpayer. That would continue to a healthcare system that's out of control. It would enrich insurance companies even more. Unfortunately, by not extending these, the Republicans are basically sentencing many Americans to their deaths. Quote, we're not going to do that. We're going to replace this broken system with something that is actually better for the consumer to meet the goal of lowering healthcare costs. But they have no plans at all. They don't even have a thought of a plan to do that.
MAGA needs to answer for something, and they've never answered for it. They've never even responded to it. During the Republican National Convention, Grindr crashed twice. And Grindr, for those of you that don't know, is the gay Bumble for gay people. And a lot of hookup, a lot of messaging about hooking up, especially when you go to a new place. It can geo-track people around you. It crashed twice during the Republican anti-gay. We're big Christians. We want, America to be a Christian nation. Grindr crashed twice. And so I want to remind everybody that Laura Loomer outed Lindsey Graham. Now, he's been outed multiple times before. Personally, I've had a gaydar ping on him for at least 15 years. But I digress. Put up this from Laura Loomer's deposition. Miss Bogler asks, the witness says, several of President Trump's staff have told me in confidence that Lindsey Graham is gay. And then the attorney says, hold on, Miss Loomer, there's no question. So Laura Loomer's under oath and wasn't even prompted. And she just outed him under oath voluntarily that Lindsey Graham is gay. And then now she's doubled down on it since this deposition is leaked. The Daily Beast is reporting this. Laura Loomer, I quote, outed GOP senator because I was under oath. The right-wing activist has doubled down on her claim that a GOP senator is secretly gay. And so, I mean, Pumps, when you take this, you know, we talk about this a lot because the Republican Party talks about gay and trans and lesbian and rainbow flags and get triggered by the rainbow mafia and drag queens reading books and drag shows. And I am surrounded by gay men in my social life. I hear MAGA talking about gayness and queerness far more than I do gay people. And then when you combine that with the aforementioned Grindr crash, which Grindr has, you know, they've got the software and the capacity.
Right. We're not talking normal traffic here.
Right. Okay. What do you think about all that?
Okay. What I think about it is if you are screaming and you are so triggered and you are so worried about gay people and you have to talk about genitals and who's got what in their pants and who's going to what bathroom and who's having sex with whom and why. And I think history will show, you know, look at the Moms for Liberty. You just pick out any Republican gay hater. They've got gay stuff going on because people that are completely comfortable with their sexuality are not talking about it all the time.
Right.
So these are people that are repressed and they hate it that other people can have shame-free.
Here for a reason to show support to you, my good friend. I'm here also to take on a form of blood libel in 2024, that the state of Israel is using starvation as a weapon of war.
Is that his job as a U.S. Senator? To be a PR shill for a foreign prime minister? Not even really the nation. Another politician who's not an American? What the hell is going on? He is there to refute the blood libel that Israel is using starvation as a weapon of war. Now, who would say that? Well, Israeli cabinet ministers. And they have said, yeah, starve them out. Starve them out. Kill them. I mean, they're all the same. They're Palestinians. Their crime is their genetics. And when they die, it's just a virtuous thing because they're not human. But Lindsey Graham is telling us that's a blood libel? Why are you telling me that? I have internet access. Because you're a liar.
It's it in this exaggerated, dramatic way where he talks about these mothers collecting the blood of the children in their sleeves, which is actually very Christian imagery. There's images of Mary at the bottom of the cross collecting Jesus's blood in her sleeves. And I think in his attempt to portray Jews sympathetically, he ends up creating this blood libel myth of Jewish mothers collecting their children's blood. And I think the thought process that comes out of this by Christians is if they are willing to kill their own children.
Okay, so what is blood libel? Because I've had a bunch of folks saying that I am promoting this. I am not. Blood libel is a false anti-Semitic myth perpetuated during the medieval era that said that all Jews collectively, as part of their mitzvahs, rituals, murdered Christian children. And this is very important to talk about when there is so much going on within Jewish elite circles right now coming out to the surface, being revealed. And when we are talking about this, it is hard for it not to come off as blood libel, but here is the difference. The blood libel conspiracy targets all Jews, everyone who practices the Jewish faith, which led to the Holocaust. What I am trying to point out is that there are Jewish folks, many of them billionaires, who have a lot of interest in the state of Israel, and the state of Israel is actively committing genocide in the name of Judaism right now. And there's a lot of connections to like Epstein and a lot of dark shit. And we have to be able to talk about all that because they really don't want us talking about all that. And when Iran is using that blackmail against the leader of our country to strong arm us into World War III, it's important to fucking talk about. The background of Zionism is extremely important to understand when there is a religious group that is starting a religious war that is using that doctrine to justify genocide. 400,000 Palestinians have been murdered in absolute cold blood, mercilessly, in the name of Zionism. And Zionism is very different from Judaism. It is a modern sect that is essentially a death cult. I grew up in it. They want to force the end times to come quicker, and they will kill whoever they need to make that happen. And when you have groups like AIPAC that are filled with Jewish billionaires paying off all of our politicians, we have to talk about it eventually. But it is so important that we do not target all Jewish people when we talk about this shit. That's what's dangerous about the blood libel conspiracy that led to the Holocaust. When you categorize an entire group of people, that's when it becomes extremely dangerous. So I want to be real clear, because I grew up Zionist. Most people within Zionism have no clue. This is what they were taught. This is the beliefs they were raised with. And I want to help those people deconstruct those beliefs, not villainize all of them.
What is happening in Israel? Right now, as you know, Israel is besieging, bombarding Gaza. You might have seen the videos on social media. It is disturbing. It is terrible what is happening. The word that is happening, the word that we use for what is happening in Gaza is this word. You are not allowed to say this word on YouTube, but that is the intention. What I will argue, though, is that the truth is far more disturbing than this. What is really happening in Gaza is a ritual sacrifice. And this happens quite often in human history. If you go back and you look at the real history of humanity, this happens quite often. Some of the most famous examples are the Aztecs. We've dug up temples of the Aztecs, and inside the temples are thousands and thousands of human skulls. So before they went to war, they practiced human sacrifice. They would commit mass murder of their enemies in public. So the Aztecs were really famous for this. The Phoenicians, specifically the Carthaginians. We will discuss them later this semester, but the Phoenicians were also famous for a particular type of sacrifice, which is child sacrifice. The Romans wrote histories insulting the Phoenicians for practicing this sort of sacrifice. But the Romans themselves practiced human sacrifice. What they would do is that after every major war, they would capture all the major leaders, all their enemies, and they would parade their enemies through the streets of Rome. This is something called the triumph. At the end of the triumph, they would gather enemies at the temple of Jupiter. Jupiter is their god. And then they would strangle to death their enemies. That's sacrifice, that's human sacrifice. They didn't call it that, okay? And they sort of disguised it, but we know for a fact that they did do this. The Israelis are doing is quite horrific because it is really this sort of sacrifice. Why? Because 47%, almost half of the population of Gaza is under 18 years old. So the majority of people who are getting killed are in fact children. What is most striking or blatant about what's happening in Gaza is that we can all see it for ourselves. And it's almost as though the Israelis want us to see it and want us to hate them. Right? You can see all over the world popular opinion is turning against Israel. You have these popular protests all around the world protesting what is happening in Palestine. If they really want to do this, right, there are actually much more effective ways of doing this. For example, you could just poison their water. Or you could poison the air so that everyone in Gaza gets a fast cancer, right? We have the technology to do this. So Israel could do this secretly and no one would talk about it. And in 20 years' time, 30 years' time, the population of Gaza would all be gone. It would be a very secret, right? Instead, they choose to do this in front of the world. And my argument to you is that this is intentional. They want the world to hate them. Because by doing this, they create the ultimate taboo, right? We find this disgusting and contemptuous, so the entire world will unite against Israel. But guess what? That's what their religion wants. In the extreme form of Jewish eschatology, or the religion, they believe that at the end of the world, Israel will fight the entire world and God will help Israel triumph in the end. The entire world will unite against Israel. But guess what? That's what their religion wants. In the extreme form of Jewish eschatology, or the religion, they believe that at the end of the world, Israel will fight the entire world and God will help Israel triumph in the end. So what's really happening in Gaza is that there are extremists within the Israel government who want to accelerate the process of the end of the world, where Israel will face the world. And if you think about it, the entire idea of this ritual sacrifice is to unite the Israeli population. And what's extremely disturbing and horrifying about it is that this works. Why? Well, let's use an analogy, okay? The analogy is this. In Chinese history, the most popular military stratagem is to fight with a river behind your back. You guys have heard of this strategy, right? Where, okay, an army is losing, okay? It's being scattered by the enemy. So what the general does is forces the army to retreat to a river. And now with the river blocking your escape, you have a choice. You can either drown in the river or you can fight to the death. And most soldiers will choose to fight to the death. And so at this point, the soldiers are unified, they're galvanized, they're energized, and then they find a surge of energy to go and destroy their enemy. Okay, this is the most popular military stratagem in ancient Chinese history, and guess what? It's the same as Israel doing this right now in Gaza. It's the same logic.